The president fired back by saying, if you want to blame someone, blame me, not my staff. But when I pressed him today at the news conference on what he did to save lives, the president did not want to get into details. At his first full news conference at the White House in 8 months, President Obama raced to the defense of his UN ambassador, Susan Rice, as Republicans this morning vowed to block her from becoming the next Secretary of State.
For them to go after the UN ambassador, who had nothing to do with Benghazi, and was simply making a presentation based on intelligence that she had received, and to smirch her reputation is outrageous.
5 days after the terror attack in Libya, Rice went on 5 Sunday talk shows to say the early intelligence suggested the assault was a spontaneous reaction to an anti-Muslim video.
Who in the White House? Who? Was it the President of the United States? Was it one of his people? Who was it that gave her talking points that clearly indicated something of which there was no basis in fact?
Earlier today, Republican Senator John McCain joined Lindsey Graham and Kelly Ayotte in vowing to stop Rice's potential nomination as Secretary of State. While the president would not speculate about his choice to replace outgoing Secretary Hillary Clinton, he reacted angrily to the Republican charges and dug in hard enough to suggest he may name Rice.
She made an appearance at the request of the White House, in which she gave her best understanding of the intelligence that had been provided to her. If Senator McCain and Senator Graham and others want to go after somebody, they should go after me. And I'm happy to have that discussion with them.
Yet when pressed by Fox News on his own role in reacting to the terror attack, the president did not directly answer questions raised by some relatives of the 4 Americans killed in Benghazi about whether he did enough to save their lives.
I would like for you to address the families if you can. On 9/11, as Commander-in-Chief, did you issue any orders to try to protect their lives?
Ed, I'll address the families not through the press. I'll address the families directly, as I already have, and we will provide all the information that is available about what happened on that day.
On the question of whether he personally issued any orders that night, the president gave a general response about reaction from the State Department and other agencies.
Their number one priority is obviously to protect American lives. That's what our job is. I can tell you that immediately upon finding out that our folks were in danger, that my orders to my national security team were do whatever we need to do to make sure they're safe.
This president and this administration has either been guilty of colossal incompetence or engaged in a cover-up, neither of which are acceptable to the American people.
Now, administration officials pushed back on that by noting at 5 p.m. on September 11th, the president ordered defense officials to move military assets into place as quickly as possible. That resulted in 4 military teams being dispatched, but they were not close enough to Libya to get there in time. Chris?
Ed Henry reporting from the White House. Ed, thanks for that. No word evokes the kind of fear and dread here in Washington like Watergate. But some on Capitol Hill are now using that word in their call for special hearings on the Benghazi attack. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge has the latest.
Some senior Senate Republicans say the depth and breadth of the Benghazi fallout now requires an investigation on par with some of the major scandals in modern American history.
Watergate investigation benefited from a joint select committee. Iran-Contra benefited from a select committee. I think finding the truth about Benghazi is only possible if you combine the resources of these 3 committees and do it in a professional manner.
The Republican proposal would bring together the Senate Intelligence, Armed Services, and Foreign Relations committees, as the investigation now has at least 3 lines of inquiry. There's the question of culpability of Secretary Clinton and her department.
We know that there were cables requests made from the State Department officials asking for enhanced security, and so that's why you can see where this investigation has to be looked at in a complete fashion rather than in a stovepipe.
There are the administration's statements that the Benghazi terrorist attack was a demonstration against the anti-Islam video that spun out of control. An explanation also given by Susan Rice, which conflicted with raw intelligence reporting.
Why did you pick her to tell us about Benghazi? She's the United Nations ambassador.
and how some lawmakers openly question whether the CIA director knew he was the subject of an FBI investigation when he briefed Capitol Hill. On September 14th, lawmakers say Petraeus seemed very much wedded to the administration's explanation.
It's impossible to believe that he thought he was giving us honest testimony.
A leading critic of the Obama administration's response to Benghazi today tempered expectations.
The party in power never likes to have a select committee, but I'm hopeful that the American people will demand it. And I am guardedly optimistic that they will achieve that goal.
As he walked away from a midday news conference, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid told reporters he would not support the idea. The chair and ranking members of the Senate Homeland Security Committee, who have their own investigation, said the proposal was premature.
I do not see the benefit of nor the need for a select committee.
In closed briefings today, Fox News has told the FBI Deputy Director Sean Joyce and his boss Robert Mueller faced hard questions about the failure to notify Congress about the FBI Petraeus investigation, and the acting director of the CIA fielded questions on the attack.
On Thursday, the nation's most senior intelligence and law enforcement officials will testify in classified sessions to the House and Senate Intelligence Committees, which will be closed to the public and to reporters. Fox News has learned that former CIA Director David Petraeus has voluntarily agreed to testify before both committees. And while there are reports his testimony could come as early as tomorrow, it remains a very fluid situation and nothing has been finalized tonight, Chris.
We'll stay on top of it, Catherine. Thank you. And now to what investigators found in Paula Broadwell's home computer. Here is National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin.
As a military intelligence Army Reserve Lieutenant Colonel, Paula Broadwell had special clearance to view classified information, but not to take it home with her. In addition, she could face charges under the Uniform Code of Military Justice if she was working for the Army at the time of her extramarital affair with David Petraeus. The Army is currently investigating. The FBI returned to her home in North Carolina Monday night and carted away computers and half a dozen boxes of documents that we have since learned contain classified information. The FBI has said there is no indication Petraeus gave Broadwell those documents, and the president cited an ongoing investigation.
I have no evidence at this point, from what I've seen, that classified information was disclosed that in any way would have had a negative impact on our national security.
The president was asked whether he thinks the FBI should have told him sooner about the Petraeus investigation.
It is also possible that had we been told, then you'd be sitting here asking a question about why were you interfering in a criminal investigation.
Not so, says author of books on the FBI and CIA, Ronald Kessler.
President Obama really was disingenuous today. Every week, Bob Mueller, the FBI director, meets with him and briefs him on just that very matter, criminal investigations such as terrorism, espionage, and certainly anything involving a high-level official of the administration, where it's possible there could be a compromise.
Former Attorney General Michael Mukasey added his perspective in an interview with Fox's Megyn Kelly.
You want the president to know everything that he needs to know in order to know how to evaluate intelligence that he needs to protect the country. And if it turns out that his chief intelligence director is vulnerable or has exercised poor judgment and is suspect in some way, that is something he has to know.
Meanwhile, more questions are being asked about Petraeus' relationship to two Lebanese American sisters in Tampa, Florida. Jill Kelly and her sister Natalie Quam both appear to have accumulated mountains of debt, up to $3 million in the case of Jill Kelly. Both cultivated relationships with powerful men in Washington and four-star generals serving at CENTCOM in Florida. In September, Petraeus backed Natalie in a bitter custody dispute with her ex-husband, Grayson Wolf, a former Bush administration official involved in Iraq reconstruction deals.
The U.S. military indefinitely suspended Jill Kelly's base pass to U.S. Central Command in recent days, and the Army has suspended Paula Broadwell's security clearance as a result of the ongoing investigation. We've just received a statement from the military lawyer for General John Allen saying that the general will comply with the ongoing investigation by the DoD's Inspector General. Chris?
Jennifer Griffin reporting from the Pentagon. Jennifer, thanks.